Continuing in this vein of cultural diplomacy through democracy promotion and European integration, I also, down the memory line, the student protests continued from Belgrade to Sofia in '97. At that time, President Stoyanov was already president-elect, and I think he was supporting fully the protests of the students. At that time, very memorable events took place in Sofia. As I remember well, at that time, you were the first politician in Bulgaria to use the phrase that the European integration is a civilizational project or civilizational breakthrough for Bulgaria. And I remember you embodied the hopes at that time in Sofia, not only of the Bulgarians, but also of everybody there protesting on the streets, including students who supported from Macedonia and Serbia and the like. So, Mr. President, you made this change. You were the symbol of the change. In 2023, Bulgaria is already a member of the European Union. We fully support as Macedonia and Bulgaria to become a member of Schengen and of Euro and everything. So my question is Bulgaria at the place where you envisaged it to be in 1997? And according to you, how is Bulgaria spending its European and democratic dividend acquired through the process of the European integration and full integration into the European Union? Thank you.
Thank you. We completely changed the main subject of our panel, intercultural dialogue and exchange, but thank you very much for your question. Allow me first of all to thank the organizers of this very prestigious forum, the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy and President Georgi Ivanov, for the wonderful idea to organize it, especially here in Skopje. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this gathering. So, to your question, several years ago there was a very big discussion in Bulgaria whether the post-communist transition period has been completed or not. The fact is that this question has no answer, because when I took the presidential office, the first thing I have declared was that Bulgaria should, and Bulgaria is going to be a member of the European Union. A very few people during that time believed in that. There was even a joke at the time, because I was a good friend of the then president of Poland, Alexander Kwasniewski, and the joke was, President of Poland, Alexander Kwasniewski, asked God, through his well-known connection with the then Pope Paul John II, Alexander Kwasniewski asked God when Poland is going to join the European Union. The God's answer is, unfortunately, not in your mandate. After him, the president of Bulgaria, it's me, asks God when Bulgaria is going to join the European Union, and the discouraging God's answer is, unfortunately, not in my mandate. So, 10 years after that, Bulgaria joined the European Union. Before joining the European Union, we had to promote a lot of painful reforms. The usual question of my people was, Mr. President, when these reforms are going to an end? My discouraging answer was never. Because the problem is, this is your question, the problem is even after joining the European Union, we had to continue with this reform practically everywhere in economy. The first task before joining the European Union was to promote the rules of the free market economy. But you have to continue with this reform because to be compatible, you have to have reforms practically every day. You have to continue your reforms in educational system, in health system, in the face of what is happening several years ago, I mean the pandemics. So, what I want to say is that in Macedonia, you shouldn't lose your belief that Macedonia is going to be a member of the European Union. That's for sure. All of us, all of us believe in that. And allow me to say some words regarding the topics of this panel. how important is the intercultural dialogue here in this region, because intercultural dialogue is important for all nations, for all states, but especially important here in the Balkans. Because after the bloody Second World War, the nations of Western Europe began a rapid integration process that led to intensive dialogue and exchange between the citizens of these countries in all spheres. And young people from Germany and France and Spain and Portugal, they traveled and studied at universities all over Europe, and today they all feel Europeans. They have their national identity, but at the same time, common goals, perspectives, and the project of living together within the European Union. This is very important, the project to live together in the future, are so attractive they don't allow the conflicts and shadows of the past to prevail in their countries. This is exactly what did not happen in the Balkans, because after the Second World War, we found ourselves east of the Iron Curtain. And all Balkan countries, except Greece, were dominated by the communist ideology. So, the cultural dialogue and integration process with the countries of Western Europe were postponed for more than 45 years. Ideological antagonism excluded any idea of dialogue and mutual exchange. It made impossible the inclusion of people from the Balkans into the European integration process as a joint model of life and development. And I firmly believe that these 45 years of missed opportunities were the major factor which increased the distinction between the nations of Western Europe and the nations of the Balkans. On top of that, the wars in former Yugoslavia started in the 90s with all the tragic consequences. So, let me say a few words thinking about the wars. I'm tempted to say that today's aspirations of the 6 Western Balkan countries, including Macedonia, Albania, towards European integration could be described as a story between 2 wars, because the efforts of those countries to join the European Union have been taking place in the period between the only 2 wars on the territory of the European continent after the bloody Second World War, the war in Yugoslavia and the current war in Ukraine, provoked by Russian aggression. And this process, I remember very well the process, when the process started with its ups and downs, but always in a predictable way. The candidate countries never gave up this desire for European membership, and for its part, Brussels has always confirmed its readiness for such membership after fulfillment of relevant criteria. This was the situation before the war in Ukraine. This should be very well understood. The war in Ukraine suddenly changed the geopolitical situation, and the attention of Brussels from the southeast shifted to the northeast of Europe. It is very important to be underlined. And this alarmed the political elites in the Western Balkans. There were concerns that the attention shift to Ukraine could detract Brussels from the Western Balkans, whose integration process was not moving fast enough anyway. So, I think that the war in Ukraine is a tragedy, but this tragedy could be transformed into an opportunity to accelerate the process of irreversible unification of Europe from the southeast to the northeast. We have to take this opportunity. This will be the biggest historical challenge for the European nations after the latest wars in the European continent. And this is the biggest, this is the biggest challenge we are facing today. I think we'll overcome all these consequences, and I wish all the best to your countries, Macedonia and Albania, in this process, in meeting this criteria for joining the European Union. Thank you.